Welcome to the Bulldog Bark, episode 3. We are going to be covering today the dominant victory over ETSU this week, and then previewing the Michigan State matchup for the Gavitt Games coming up this Friday, 6:30 at the Breslin Center. Big test for the Dawgs. As usual, I got my usual suspects with me. You got Michael D. Rosa, Kyle the Butler fan, and Butler Fighting Crew, BFC. I am yours truly, the guru. All right, boys. So ETSU, we'll start there. Another dominant performance. Michael, what did you see?
They look good. I really like the pressure defense. They were in ETSU's face all game, forcing a ton of turnovers. Granted, ETSU's offense, once you stopped the point guard, Quamari Peterson, was not great, but still, you had to stop the point guard. You did your job, and you were able to control the game from the rest. I thought they looked good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said for the fact that we all know the preview that you did in the previous episode. We all know he's a legit player. Like, he's not nothing. He's going to have a good season there. The last game, I think they played Elon or something, not a great team, but he went for 30, I think. And so that's just the kind of guy that he's going to be a good player. And the fact that he was just so they really tried to go to him. He had the ball in his hands, like 40% of their possessions, 40% of the time that they were on offense, but he just couldn't get anything going. And I think that's something to be said for the defense, that they went out and stopped him rather than just like, oh, you stop him, so they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything because they had a good game plan against him. And obviously we're not getting into Michigan State yet, but you hope they have that game plan for a guy as ridiculous as Tyson Walker. It's going to be harder, but it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, I just loved seeing how dominant the guards were. I mean, three of the four guards that were getting the most minutes, went in double figures. DJ obviously had a breakout first half, especially. We saw the playmaking and just the shot making that we've been excited about. And I felt like in the first two games, he was kind of finding his footing. He wasn't necessarily hunting his shot. He was still playing extremely well, but really in that first half, you just saw how much of a difference maker he can be. And then, Posh has just been Mr. Consistency these first three games, and Landon Moore. I mean, I know we were a little worried after the exhibition and the first two games, just getting that step up, maybe some nerves about playing, on a Power 6 team, but he definitely, he definitely arrived in that game. He looked phenomenal. He looked way more comfortable, which I like to see, because he's going to be important in this next game, especially with Posh. How Posh plays defense, I don't want it to happen, but there's a chance he can get into foul trouble. And if he does, I just want Landon to have the confidence that, a confident backup point guard with a starting point guard that plays that aggressive defense is just really important.
Yeah, another thing I liked is speaking about DJ, right? So it's just the versatility of the team. We saw, Telfort and stuff usually dominate those first two games. He didn't have a very good game, let's be honest. He missed a lot of shots. I think he was like 2 for 12 or 2 for 10 or something on the game. A lot of shots usually makes. That was probably the biggest team that Butler's faced so far. So it just shows the versatility where, yeah, Telfort struggled a little bit with kind of maybe bodying the guys that he usually can. Okay, let's dish it out to DJ. He was too quick for them, and those step backs were absolutely nasty. So again, you kind of have, if one guy's not clicking that day, I really like seeing that. We talk about DJ's breakout game, but DJ, that's I think they're going to take what they get, right? If Telfort and Pierre can drive, gets all three levels, then let's do that. If they're not doing that, okay, we got a shifty guard who can hit it from super deep range, right? So I like seeing that aspect to it too. I know, Kyle, you were kind of saying how this would be our biggest test yet. At the end of the day, kick their asses. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so. Is there anything else you guys want to add about ETSU specifically that you kind of liked or saw that before we kind of lead into the Michigan State stuff?
ETSU specifically, I don't know. Just another thing on DJ Davis. I tweeted it, but I want to say it again. Something that I think that perhaps the number one thing that really encourages me about the starting lineup going into the next 5 games and playing better teams is the fact that a lot of people, when you looked at our backcourt coming in, a lot of people were like, okay, you got Posh, but then if a team has 2 good guards, one of them is going to be on DJ Davis. I think we talked about that in Spaces one time, and we thought that was going to be an issue. A lot of the 2 guards he's going to face are going to be bigger than him, so sure, that might be an issue. But as far as his defense straight up, I'm no longer worried. I think that like as far as one person's side of the ball that's perhaps encouraged me the most, it would be DJ Davis's defense. He's relentless on defense. Like he really takes after Posh and how much he's relentless. I wasn't expecting that, frankly, like at all.
Very active hands.
Yeah, really, really. So I'm encouraged by that a lot.
Size concerns me, but active hands, yes.
I want to see them
kind of to
against.
build off that.
Oh, you go, BC.
No, you go, Michael.
I was just gonna say I want to see him against a good offense before I
me too.
buy into like the team defending. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you on what you said, Kyle.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that one thing that could factor into that is just that he doesn't have to be as active on the offensive end as he did last year. Like he doesn't have to be the centerpiece of the offense every time down the court. Like creating his own shot. He's going to be able to kind of not take a break necessarily, but let other guys eat a little bit more, which may give him, that little bit more energy on the defensive end where he can go for more steals, kind of play a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, I've really liked what I've seen too. It's really just the engagement on the defensive end from guys who had that, stigma in the transfer portal, like him and Pierre, just look super locked in on the defensive end.
I'll tell you one thing that still concerns me and it's concerned me every game so far, since I know we're talking a lot of positives, the defensive rebounding still terrifies me. I mean, I don't know if it's a mindset or what it is, or if it's just the way that we play. But you'd think with like Telford and Pierre and even Posh that I think we've given up double-digit offensive rebounds almost. I think at least 2 out of the 3, I think. And then maybe, did we give it all 3? I have to check. But, good teams in the Big East are going to Michigan State will capitalize on that, right? Especially considering they're going to be shooting threes, maybe not making them. So there's going to be some big bounces going on places, right? So that's the only thing, because that plagued Butler last year so bad, and I keep seeing that happening, and it just really grinds my gears. Like I'm like, just get the board, right? But it just seems like we'll have 3 guys around it, and somehow the other team gets the ball, and I don't. If you guys heard someone screaming the other day, that was me. I was like losing it. But that's like my biggest. Honestly, if you ask me what my biggest concern is right now, that's probably it.
Frankly, I saw that stat that was like Jalen Thomas leads the whole conference in defensive rebounding rate.
So I think that stat, I looked it up. I think it just means that correct me if I'm wrong, because I was trying to interpret it. He rebounds our defensive boards he accounts for 35% of our defensive boards. Is that what it means?
I think so.
Yeah. So I think it's just,
I don't know if that's a good thing then.
Yeah. So I think it just is a matter of, he's definitely our leading rebounder, but I think it's just a matter of eventually when we get a defensive rebound, he's the one that usually gets it.
Yeah. And on rebounding real quick before we move on, I think that the one thing that would concern me, I know we talk him up and we have good reason to. He's been great on offense, athletic as hell, been blocking shots. I've noticed Connor Turnbull has really struggled rebounding wise this year so far. He really has. It's just I think he's struggled with box outs at times this year. I think that's to be expected. He's not going to be perfect his sophomore year. He barely played last year, but we talk about him so positively. We've barely said anything negative about him. I've noticed him struggling rebounding in the first 3 games this year.
Yeah.
On the opposite end, Kapke is a vacuum on the defensive.
Dude, I like him. He is fundamentals.
His rebounding, and you just watch him. It's like anything around him, he's getting it. He doesn't rebound like a freshman.
No, I agree. Me and my buddy were like, really, my buddy is just kind of a pessimist, but we're like watching. He's like, there's no way this Cappy kid survives in here, no chance. And then we were watching it. It's one of those things where like, yeah, maybe he doesn't look the part, but like, honestly, he's pretty big though. 6'10", I know, but he looks thicker than I would expect in person. And fundamentals though, he boxes out every single time. You can see him clearing lanes. The help defense is there. Like that guy's got the X's and O's down pat. So I was telling my buddy, you guys remember? I don't know if you guys are too young or not. Probably not. BFC or not. Nate Fowler.
Yeah.
Like I see him being a Nate Fowler type.
Especially if he can shoot it a little bit.
Yeah. Like he's got he's probably got, if he sticks with the program, maybe he plays like 15 to 20 minutes, just does his role, like not gonna be your first option or anything like that, but like does what he needs to do. And that's he's fundamentals, right? Because Nate Fowler played on a team that went to the NCAA tournament. Like, did he go all 4 years?
At least 3.
At least 3, right? Yeah. Granted that I had Keelan and Kamar and all those guys, whatever. But like, I could see him definitely developing into something like that. So I was excited. Another big takeaway. I know we want to get to the Michigan State stuff. Another big takeaway for me is the ability to like blow out these teams. I think a huge part of that, and also no injuries, is that our second unit got a lot of time together, which I think is huge for us because if you think about last year, we only had like 6 or 7 healthy guys for the whole off non-conference. And so then you were thrust into Big East play and trying to, gel with one another and figure out rotations. Thad got to throw like the second unit in, probably tried a couple different rotations, which I think is going to be very valuable to us as we those guys, even against crap teams, just having that experience, getting the court, getting the jitters out for some of those young guys, especially. I think that's going to be very valuable for us.
Question on Capkey, just randomly, not actually with the Michigan State preview, but I'm just wondering what you guys think. Let's say, scenario here, it's not a blowout. Again, it's MSU. Screen and Thomas and Turnbull aren't in foul trouble. There's no foul trouble for anyone. Do you think he plays against Michigan State?
Maybe a spot minute in the first half, but that's it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think we're going to see another thing we saw like versus ETSU and everyone, right? Again, the second unit played a lot. I think we're going to see a definite switch in maybe the numbers, obviously, the playing time numbers in this Michigan State game. I still expect the second unit to play, no doubt. But I anticipate, probably a little less than.
I think the bench gets shortened significantly. Frankly, I mean, Capkey played a bunch, has played a bunch. I wouldn't be shocked if we go to an 8-man rotation with the starting 5, Finley, Moore, and Screen. I think that's very possible that we just play 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I was scrambling around my room trying to find the box scores from the last game. The first half box score, because those are the ones I get given to me because I'm better than you guys. Green had 2 fouls in a minute 41 last game. So as a result of that, Capkey played 6 minutes in the first half. And then in SEMO, which, by the way, one note, I wish DJ Hughes played it for ETSU. That kind of sucked.
Yeah, same. That sucked.
Capkey played 7 minutes, 26 seconds against SEMO in the first half. Granted, Butler was up by 100, but again, Green got 2 fouls in the first half and was sad. Yeah. So maybe that I didn't notice that till just now looking back on it.
Right.
Green not getting foul trouble. That'd be nice.
Yeah, he's had foul issues for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, now you got me looking at the box scores too.
He had I believe 4 fouls last game in not that many minutes. I could be wrong. I mean, I think he got 2 fouls in the first half quickly. And unless I'm wrong, he came in the second half and got another 2 fouls quite quickly as well.
No, he had 8 minutes, 4 fouls. Yeah, so
that's bad.
Yeah. Another thing I'll add, again, we could talk about a million things, guys, but another thing I really love is, I mentioned this stat in one of my tweets. So I'm just looking at the last box score, right? Pierre drew 5 fouls. Posh drew 5 fouls. Last year, we were one of the worst teams in the nation at getting to the free throw line. I do love how this team does not do fucking pull-up jumpers. God, I love it. I love it. So have you guys seen a pull-up jump? I don't know if I've seen a pull-up jumper yet.
2-point. Yeah, Posh had a few.
Find ones.
Posh had a few in the first game.
But very few. Last year, I felt like 90% of our shots were like dribble to like the elbow and then shoot a contested 2-point jumper. It drove me insane. So the good thing is that these guys are getting the foul line a little bit more, drawing some fouls. I expect Telfort to do that as well, even though he struggled last game. Anything else you guys want to add in like ETSU or any of the first few? And let's not sugarcoat it, guys. The teams that Butler played, if you look at like their strength of schedule, I think on 10 pound they're like 336. Like it's like
they're shit.
Yeah, they were shit teams. They were shit teams, right? Now I'm excited we blew the fuck out of them. That sounded terrible. That's gonna be a great soundbite. Anyway, but so we killed them, right? So we killed those teams, which we should do. Again, I mentioned in one of the previous ones, we beat IUPUI by 9 points one season, like that season where they had live tryouts in the middle of the season. So this is a different scenario. You beat the shit out of teams you should. But let's move on to Michigan State, boys. So biggest this streak coming up, we've mentioned it a million times. We're about to have 5 straight games of pretty solid competition. Starting with the Gavitt Games matchup against Michigan State. Again, the Dawgs will be heading to the Breslin Center, 6:30 p.m. Friday. I think they're the last game of the Gavitt Games. Is that correct?
Maryland Nova's after them.
Is that after them? Okay. Maryland Nova's after them. So last day, anyway. Michigan State's 1-2. They have losses to James Madison, and they just lost to Duke. Again, preseason, top 5 team. A lot of people expected things from them. I don't want people to underestimate this team. This is gonna be a very tough matchup. Izzo knows Mata. Ohio State, Michigan State days. This is gonna be a very tough one for the Dogs. Let's see, BFC. Let's start with you. What are you feeling about this game?
Yeah, I mean, MSU has just not looked good. It's not like, they've lost 2 tight ones. I mean, that Duke game, they just kind of looked like overmatched outside of Tyson Walker, who we know, I mean, he's an All-American caliber player. And I expect them to at least get production outside of him a little bit more in this game. So that worries me a little bit. Like, some of these guys have to wake up. I mean, Hogard he's been terrible these first couple games. I know that somebody else is going to wake up, but the way that they played gives me some hope that, I don't think we're going in as overmatched as I expected in the preseason. Like, I think we actually match up decently well at a few different spots. I mean, Xavier Booker's not even really playing, which has been confusing. That's kind of shocked me. I know that Izzo, I mean, he's a phenomenal coach, but he does get his guys. Booker could have done something weird in practice, and now he's in the doghouse for a couple weeks. You don't really know, but that's been super confusing, and that was a spot where I really thought that they could abuse us, especially if they were playing him at the 4. We just didn't have anybody that can match up with him at the 4. So I don't know. I'm excited for the challenge, and I have higher expectations than preseason, but you're still going to East Lansing to a team that's going to be pissed off. So I don't know. It's going to be a big test.
Yeah, no, I think I said this. I think that Michigan State losing to Duke was actually, I would rather them beat Duke, purely because, people would be like, well, then they have confidence. I think this would have been more of a, maybe sleepwalk type game if they had beat Duke in a big matchup there, and then they're just right. Then they have Butler after. I think now Izzo would have them ready either way, but I think Izzo, now it's like they're kind of in desperation mode. They've lost 2 out of their first 3. Home in East Lansing, Butler's coming. Like, they're gonna want to. They want this. I mean, they want all games, but they need this kind of to get off the schneid a little bit. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, decent get right spot for Michigan State. BFC mentioned Hogard. Hogard has done nothing this year, and he's so much better than that. He could be a tough matchup for Butler, but like other than Tyson Walker, their team hasn't really done anything. Malik Hall had a good game. He plays the 4 for them. Maybe he could be a tougher matchup. Like, I think he's like similar size to Telford. It's like I'm not too stressed about that. It really comes down to, that matchup, Walker Posh. If you stop Tyson Walker, this offense is nothing. If you don't stop Tyson Walker, it's going to be a long day. That's for damn sure. It's going to be a long day. That kid is filthy.
Yeah.
But also one thing, Michigan State, if you use the the Ken Palms, you heard of that thing?
Yeah.
If you use the luck feature, click luck, and then scroll to the bottom, you'll see who the 361st luckiest team in basketball is through the first few games, according to Ken Palm. That would be Michigan State. Only Maryland ranks beneath them. And that in large part has to be because they can't hit a damn jump shot. Their 3-point shooting is awful. They were 39.3% from 3 last season. This season, they are 16%. They went from 3rd best in the country to 351st best in the country. I don't think that stands for the course of a full season. I think it'll be worse than it was last year because you lose Hauser and you don't have the shooters to replace Hauser, and there's more attention on Walker. But I don't think they're shooting 16% from 3 against Butler. I hate to break it to you guys. I don't think that happens.
No, it won't happen. I don't know if they'll shoot 33%, but they won't shoot 16% for sure. I think that we've talked about the get right spot for them. Everyone's been talking about how's Michigan State going to be going into it. How's how the confidence of them is going to be going into it. And I think that matters. Absolutely. I haven't really heard anyone on the Butler side, including me, and I haven't thought about it today, talk about the fact that Butler just watched this team. And I know that they have watched this team, all 3 games, watched live. Or more or less live. I think the first game, they also had a game that night. But Butler has watched this team lose twice. They've watched them, they've seen their deficiencies, and Butler's played well in the first 3 games. I know the mindset of this Butler team. You know, we talked about it in the Jalen Thomas episode last time when you guys were interviewing him. I know the mindset of some of these other players, and I know that they've watched Michigan State lose twice. And I know that they're going in there believing that they can and are going to win. So when you talk about confidence and motivation, absolutely Michigan State's going to have that in spades. I have no doubt. But I also think that there's no doubt this Butler team is going to have seen those games. I mean, like, there's no reason we can't beat these guys.
I agree. I think Kyle, so 2 things, Kyle. I think one, you tweeted, they'll go 15 for 30 against us.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It seems like Butler actually, if you look back at last year, there was a lot of times where a team needed a get right game. I think it was like Creighton early on. Kalkbrenner came back first game. They needed a get right game. I think UConn was on like in the middle of the season, had like a poor streak. They needed a get right game. Butler was the get right game. There were several times in the season where Butler was the get right game. And I think that Michigan State wants this to be their get right game. And I think that this will be a good indication of whether or not this team is taking that step forward. We would get pummeled by 30 in get right games. It wasn't like we weren't in close. So I agree with Michael. I agree with Kyle. This team is not going to shoot 16% from. They're not going to shoot 16% from 3. So hopefully our boys are up for the task to play defense. I'm trying to pull some stats. BFC, you got anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think I would just circle back to Hogard, because that's the guy that honestly going into the season before, I was the most afraid of, just because he's got, he's probably 3 inches taller than DJ Davis and can attack the paint, but he's shooting under 20% from the field. Now, if they're going to have a get right game, I think he has to have a get right game, because if he's shooting like that and we can kind of, fade off of him a little bit. He's not a great 3-point shooter to start with, and he's been, horrendous this year, even worse than before. If we can cheat a little bit more on some of these guys and, make sure that we're taking Tyson Walker out of the game as much as we can. You can't take a guy like that completely out of the game, but you can focus on him. That could be the game changer, because if both those guys are cooking, not only can we not, really defend that offense, I don't really think anyone in the country can defend that offense. That's a great 1-2 combo. And if they're both on, we saw it in the tournament last year. They are just a tough team to beat. But he's got to get right at some point. You'd think he's not going to shoot 19% for the season, but I don't know. I just don't see it happening quickly. I feel like it might be a longer fix that we can kind of take advantage of.
So what do you guys think of the matchups then? Right. So obviously Posh is on Walker. What else you guys got matched up with?
Probably you would think DJ Davis is on Hogard. I'm sure there's possessions just based on transition. If Butler doesn't score, that I think that I would rather Posh on Walker, because like I said, I think he's just their best player. But there's matchups that I'm sure there's times that I'm sure Davis or Landon or Finley will be on Walker and Posh on Hogard or something like that, just based on circumstances. The other matchup that I think everyone would look at, as far as, I feel decent defensively, is Malik Hall, who I think so far this year, as Michael mentioned, has had a good season and is their second best defender. And I think we can put Jamil on him. And I think Posh on Walker and Telfort on Hall is like, I'm glad that their 2 best players so far this season play those 2 positions, because we have 2 guys that we know can play solid physical defense against those guys. So I'm happy that Walker and Hall have been their best 2 players and they're at those positions,
Sure. Do you guys think that the defensive rebounding, like we talked about earlier, do you think that it comes back to be a problem in this game?
So Suzuko's only 6'9". He plays big, but he's only like 6'9". He is their starting 5-man. Off the bench, they were in Carson Cooper. He's not like the most mobile guy at all. And then Xavier Booker's like their 3rd big off the bench. I would have thought he's ahead of Cooper. That might tell you something, might not. I don't know. But that's beside the point. But I don't know. I don't feel like Michigan State's a team that's going to kill you on the glass. Like, just looking at the rebound rates from a season ago where they were like much better. They were like a fine offensive rebounding team. Like, they were 213th in offensive rebounding in the country. So like, I don't think Michigan State's the team that really bullies you on the glass. I think they're just going to try to slow the game down, run some legit offense, hopefully hit a couple shots and go from there.
Are you guys nervous about Steven Izzo at all?
Wait, that's the
Alex, you're scared.
yeah.
Go.
Home
Wait,
better.
Izzo's sucks.
didn't Izzo like cry when he came in and hit a free throw or something like
Yeah.
that?
He's got a minute log
That's
this
great.
year. Yeah,
I like that.
that's right. You know what? Our walk on is 10 times better than his. Our walk on shooting 100% from
What I'm
three
saying.
and 100% from the free throw line. So shout out to Ethan McComb, dude, balling, doing his thing.
Easy.
I mean, for real, like imagine being a walk on and you get, you only get like what, a couple minutes into the game. And it probably won't, honestly, he's obviously not going to see the floor for these next, unless we're losing by 50 or up by 50. Listen, up by 50. But imagine like, your first opportunity, drain both threes. Dude must be on cloud 9 right now. I would be.
It's what he did in high school too. He shot
Yeah.
47% from three in
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah, which is
That was
insane.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of three, so we were talking about breakout games. So we talked about Finley Bizjack a lot this summer, right? And I like Finley. He's actually created a lot more shots. I think he's got like 2.7 assists per game, which I think is tied for second after Posh on our team. But let's be honest, he hasn't. I think he's like 1 for 10 on his first threes or some stat like that, right?
1 for 11, I think.
1 for 11. Okay. Do you guys foresee at all? Maybe I know it's on the road, East Lansing. Do you guys see in the streak? Maybe we see a little breakout performance for our freshman. Takes on the challenge.
He's got to see one drop because it's so odd because he's doing everything that I expected him to kind of struggle with way better than I thought. I mean, he's creating and he's finishing at the rim really well. But yeah, the shot's just not dropping. And I kind of see him talking with the Mata a little bit. I think one thing that freshmen I think struggle with sometimes is combining the entire offense. So like creating for others while also like creating your own shot, knocking down shots. I think having the entire thing, like, he once a couple shots didn't drop, I felt like he was, maybe playing a little bit more passive, even like passing up some shots I thought he was going to take. So I feel like once he gets 1 or 2 to drop, it's gonna be lights out because we know how good of a shooter he is. But yeah, it's been odd. It's been an odd start to the season, but like I'm still excited by how he's playing. It's just not what I expected to be excited about.
Yeah, I feel like he's got like him and Cappy clearly have some chemistry together. But anytime they play together, I feel like they see each other very well. Yeah, his assists, he's had some really nifty assists, which has been really great because he'll probably have to in the future stick with the program, Finley. In the future, I could see him running some more, probably more shooting guard, but could see some point guard stuff, right? So, yeah, it's I agree with you though. It seems like he didn't make those first few, and then there were some shots where I was like, it just seems like any other scenario he would shoot that, and he like passed him up. But who knows? Maybe he drops between him and the Pierre revenge game. First of all, let's go Pierre, baby. Destroy your old team, man. Just destroy them. I know Pierre's locked in on this. He is. I can't. We talked to Jalen last week, and he's like, yeah, Pierre's been waiting for this one. So hopefully the emotions don't overdo it, right? Hopefully he's not like launching things from absolutely everywhere. He likes to shoot, and I'm not mad when he shoots, but hopefully it doesn't overdo it. But I think he's going to take this one pretty damn personally, obviously. So looking for a big breakout game from Pierre, not breakout, but big game from Pierre. No, boys, I'm really excited. I think honestly, at the end of the day, this is just my opinion. We said this before, going into East Lansing is super difficult, regardless of what team you are. I know James Madison won there, but going on the road to East
That's
Lansing,
a good James Madison team, man. They're good.
It's a good, yeah, absolutely. And so I'm just asking for like a competitive game. If we have a competitive game in East Lansing, even if the score ends up being like a 10-point loss or something, because you got some free throws down the end, whatever, bullshit happens at the end of games, that's fine. Just keep it entertaining. No 20, 25-point blowout. That's actually, I'd love a win, and I think we can win. But that's my ask for that's my ask for this. And then I'm going to circle FAU and be like, go there. Let's beat those boys. So final question of the episode, boys. Predictions. I'm gonna start with Michael. Michael, you look like you're ready to make a good prediction.
No, I'm not.
Wait, real quick pause. Just so everyone remembers, on what was that, the last episode, BFC and Michael actually predicted the same, almost the exact same score. And
Yeah.
the point was only one off. It was so they both predicted 82 points for the Dogs. In fact, they guaranteed they would go to Vegas if they both hit 82. It was 81. We were off a point. So
That's why you don't go to Vegas.
right, yeah. So I trust. Right, yeah, you missed 5 points. So I trust these guys wholeheartedly. Michael, what do you got?
I haven't, so like it's weird. I am kind of just ready for this game to happen. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to like talk about it too much. That said, I do have to write a preview for this game. We did spend 10 minutes talking about this game. So I still haven't started my preview, so I'm gonna have to start that tonight. That said, I'm gonna go 72-68 State. I think Michigan State wins this game. I think it's close. I just think late they'll make plays, and I think the slower tempo it kind of like messes with the Dogs a bit. And Butler hasn't been tested in a game yet. I think Michigan State will test him, and Michigan State has been tested. I think they kind of get it going. I think Michigan State wins a close one.
Michael, I'm not even kidding. I had 72-68 Dogs.
This is mess.
That is ridiculous. That is insane. When you said that, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But yeah, 72-68 Dogs.
Dogs, all right.
I'll share my actual prediction first, and then I'll share my dream. My actual prediction is I was gonna say 75-70, so not that far off. Michigan State. I was gonna say 75-70. Michigan State is my actual prediction. I'd be happy with that result. I think be happier with a win. My dream is everybody in the highlights media loves this Cohen Carr guy, even though I've watched him in the first few games and he's good, but sometimes he's erratic, but they all love him. They all, he jumps high. Oh, he jumps high. My
Brother,
dream.
did you see his dunk in the dunk contest?
I saw his dunk. I don't care.
insane.
I don't care. I saw his dunk. I don't care. This is my dream. My dream is for Butler to be winning by like 12 to the end of the game. And he gets a fast breakaway dunk and he does a big windmill. And everybody posted on social media, oh, look at this Cohen Carr. Oh, look how high he jumps. And the score at the bottom just shows Butler up by 10. That's my dream. That's my dream.
That would be good. Again, Butler plays Michigan State this Friday, 6:30. Gavitt Games, first big test for the Dogs, 3-0. Michigan State 1-2. Excited for our first matchup. Go Dogs. Let's do this.